I think we're going to make a really shocking comeback very quickly, and part of it is that we actually have some surprising integrations already lined up. One of I don't want to say too much about it, but um, just just this one that's coming up is enough to just change the game completely.
Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing well today. In this video, we're going to talk about BZRX. It's the token for the BZX protocol. They've been hard at work and they're ready to come out with their next big update. They recently seeded the market with their BZRX token through an initial DEX offering. Because they seeded the market with their token and there's a lot of hype surrounding their next big release, the project has recently gained a lot of attention. And after collecting my research by watching interviews, I actually got one feature that they disclosed, which I think is going to give them a pretty big competitive edge. So make sure to watch this video in its entirety if you guys want to know what that feature is. And if you're really interested in going down the DeFi rabbit hole, I encourage you guys to sign up for my free newsletter. Not only am I going to give you guys updates on DeFi platforms, I'll go ahead and link you guys relevant interviews. I'll talk about the latest developments, and I'll even share projects that I'm looking at with you guys. Moreover, my team and I also cover centralized finance platforms like BitTrue, BlockFi, Celsius Network. In addition to the knowledge that we're going to share with you guys, we also provide you guys with tools. For instance, we have this interest rate tracker here that consolidates interest rates across multiple platforms and is routinely updated. And I'm currently trying to get more people to write about DeFi platforms. And the hope is to equip you guys with the tools you guys need to do well in this marketplace. For example, Zapper.fi is something one of my community members shared with me, and it's an excellent resource for individuals who want a bird's eye view of all their assets that are in liquidity pools and that are being yield farmed. If you guys find any of that intriguing, don't forget to also check out my Discord channel. It's a great place and forum for you guys to share ideas and also to post to inquiries. We got a lot of smart and savvy people in here that are more than happy to help you guys out. So if you guys are interested in the newsletter and the Discord channel, make sure you guys check out the links in the description below. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this video. All right, to get started, let's go ahead and go over what the BZX protocol exactly is. The BZX protocol is a set of smart contracts that are built on top of Ethereum. The protocol focuses on lending and margin trading and is most similar to another popular DeFi product called DYDX. The biggest difference between these two margin trading protocols is the inherent use of tokens in the BZX protocol. The system has three main tokens: the I token, the P token, and the BZRX token. And folks, we're going to be talking about the BZRX token in just a minute. You'll definitely want to hear my insights on the utility features because it's likely to be the main driver of demand for the token. The co-founders of the protocol are Tom Bean and Kyle Kistner, who you just saw in the intro. So the system of lending and borrowing depends on I tokens and P tokens. And this is very similar to Aave and Compound, which also give you these redemption-like tokens. And so the way it works is when users lend or borrow money on BZX, their crypto assets go into or come out of global liquidity pools, pools of funds shared between many different exchanges. The lenders, when they supply funds to the global liquidity pools, they are automatically given I tokens. These I tokens represent a share or claim of the supplied funds in the pool, and they automatically generate interest for their holders. So for example, let's say you put 10 USDC into the protocol, you're going to get 10 IUSDC, and you'll actually see those IUSDC increase over time. And that's because you're accumulating interest in real time. So let's say you're getting 10% on your USDC. At the end of the year, you would end up with 11 IUSDC, which you can then claim for the 11 USDC equivalent in the pool. So again, it's basically like a redemption ticket for your assets that are supplied to the liquidity pools. And when you borrow money to open margin trading, something comparable happens, but instead of I tokens, you're given P tokens, or you're given a different token depending on the position and the assets that's being traded. So for example, if you open a long position ETH/DAI using 4 times leverage, you'll get DLETH 4x tokens. And the worth of the token will change depending on the value of the underlying asset. And much like many other DeFi products, BZRX has partnered with decentralized Oracle service provider Chainlink, and we'll explain why they decided to take that move in just a minute. We'll go ahead and skip over this section for now because we're going to cover tokenomics and the BZRX token in greater detail towards the latter half of this video. The best way for you guys to access this protocol is through the front ends, Fulcrum and Torque. Fulcrum allows you to margin trade or lend crypto assets using BZX smart contracts, and Torque allows users to borrow money for whatever they like. Meanwhile, Fulcrum is limited to borrowing money for trades only. All right, shifting over, let's go ahead and cover some of the exploits. There were actually 2 pretty large ones just days apart. And don't mind the title here, it's just clickbait. It's kind of like those videos of tubers promising 100x tokens or the next 3 tokens to moon. If you guys follow me closely, you know how I feel. I don't think DeFi is going anywhere. And the thing you guys have to understand is that you're going to hear a lot about this, especially in the initial stages. When these protocols are young and these guys are trying to figure things out, a lot of what they do is going to be trial and error. I've said this a few times in the past, but these hacks actually make the protocol and the ecosystem as a whole more resilient. Not only is BZX going to become more resilient, but other players in the industry, other DeFi protocols are also going to learn from their mistakes. But anyhow, coming back to this video, on February 14th, the first exploit occurred. This exploit resulted in almost 1,200 ETH being harvested from the protocol. Fortunately for its users, BZX operates on a fail-safe, collecting 10% of all interest earned by lenders and aggregating it into an insurance fund. Consequently, losses to BZX users were nominal. We're not going to go into the details of the hack, but it involved the flash loan. And to summarize the hack, the attacker exploited a bug in BZX that caused it to trade a huge amount on Uniswap at a 3 times inflated price. And just 4 days later, it fell victim to another attack. And similar to the previous exploit, this time flash loans were used again to facilitate a pump and dump on Uniswap. And this time around, the attacker took almost double the previous amount. He, she, or they took 2,400 ETH. BZX was left with another under-collateralized loan, but again, the insurance fund saved him. The team managed to patch the original bug, but the subsequent attack apparently took advantage of oracles. And this is exactly why they decided to partner with Chainlink. Rather than relying on a centralized feed for their price data, a decentralized price feed in theory should be a lot harder to exploit for malicious actors. Because with a centralized price feed, the oracle manipulation can substantially drive up the price of an infected token, and it makes it extremely valuable on the BZX lending system. Then the attacker can simply deposit earlier purchased or hoarded assets, use it as collateral to borrow ETH for profit. Especially with the exploits being days apart, it definitely did taint BZX image with the community, and a lot of people ended up taking their assets out of the protocol. And the net result was that the protocol had to offer substantial rates to lure in lenders back onto the DeFi platform. The lending rates actually jumped to 41.9% for ETH that was locked into the protocol by lenders. And after the number of ETH in the protocol increased by 20%, the rate dropped to 24.5%. So I think this really shows us how market forces work in the DeFi ecosystem. Despite the hacks, despite the money that was taken, people still felt comfortable depositing their assets with the protocol. Obviously, it's not sustainable for a prolonged period of time, but it does show you how quickly these protocols can recapitalize, even after multiple hacks. This is what's going to drive the price of the token, in my opinion. I think the utility features, the rewards that you can get from staking BZRX tokens, that's what's going to make the token valuable in the long run. Aside from being a governance token, you also have 4 opportunities to capture value. The first one being fee sharing. Staked tokens grant proportional ownership of any balancer LP shares minted during the staking period. For example, if a single person stakes 1% of the BZRX supply, but comprises 10% of the staked BZRX, they are entitled to 10% of all balancer LP shares minted while they are staked. So in other words, it doesn't matter if you own BZRX tokens or not, or the quantity that you own. What's important is the amount that you actually stake into the protocol. So what they're trying to do is incentivize participation. Secondly, balancer fees held in the balancer pools can supply liquidity for both traders and the protocol. Those fees accrue to all participants holding shares of the fee pool. And on top of that, you'll earn BAL rewards. Since the fee pool will generate volume, it will also generate BAL tokens. These BAL tokens are reinvested into the balancer pools, allowing BZRX stakers to seamlessly benefit. And lastly, we talked about the insurance fund. This is what makes lenders and people who deposit assets onto the platform whole. And by owning BZRX tokens, you're actually entitled to a portion of this insurance fund. Each BZRX token can be redeemed for a proportional amount of the insurance fund not already denominated in BZRX. This gives the token holder a fundamental value by being both backed by current assets as well as future cash flows. The insurance fund receives half of the origination fees, fees from interest payments, and fees generated by trading. The proportion of fees directed to the insurance fund can be determined by the DAO during a future governance vote. And this is a good segue into the next portion of the video where we're going to go over governance. They're going to implement a trias politicus form of government similar to many liberal democracies today. You're going to have 3 branches, a legislative, executive, and a judicial. And in this variant of a democracy, we're actually going to be able to elect a legislative. And the way it works is that we're going to be able to vote for our legislative by staking our tokens. We can't vote directly ourselves on proposals, and this legislative has to have majority vote in order for the proposals to pass. Here's a few things that the branch could potentially be responsible for. The margin maintenance covered by the insurance fund, the assets supported by the protocol, the percentage of interest collected from lenders, the coefficients of the interest rate model, the time waiting for the BZRX token voting powers, and the LP token address eligible for staking. The executive branch, much like traditional political systems, will have no power to propose or pass proposals on its own. Instead, the executive is to simply act as a check on legislative branch, vetoing malicious proposals and attempts by representatives to form cartels. Lastly, we have our judicial branch, which is basically smart contract code, because in digital finance, code is law. And unlike other protocols, they're not really going to do yield mining per se, but I kind of like the model because it has constraints on how much new BZRX tokens can enter the marketplace. Right now, 20% of the token supply has been allocated towards rewarding users of the protocol, and they're split between these sub-allocations. Each time a user pays a fee, 50% of the value of fee is refunded to them in the form of BZRX. And on top of that, during the first 3 months, 0.25% of the token supply will be dispersed each week to users based on the quantity of fees generated that week. So in other words, they're basically giving tokens to people that use the protocol. And it looks like it's heavily weighted towards people that are taking out loans. I personally like the idea of incentivizing people to take out loans because when people take out loans, the platform generates more fees. And as a token holder, that means I'll be getting more rewards for staking my BZRX tokens. One feature that they did disclose and that I alluded to in my intro was the ability to earn interest on your collateral. To my knowledge, this is the first platform to allow us to do that, because on centralized finance platforms and other DeFi platforms, the collateral that you put up to take out a loan, that's not eligible to earn any interest. Here on this platform, shortly you'll be able to put up collateral to take out a loan, and that collateral will earn some interest for you. Personally, I'm very excited about it because on one hand, you get to take out a relatively cheap loan because the fees that you earn by lending at your collateral will cover some of the cost. And on top of that, all the fees that I pay for the loan, 50% of the value is going to be refunded to me in the form of BZRX tokens. Personally, because of the incentives that we know about today, I'm really looking forward to them releasing the next iteration of their platform. So this is what the homepage looks like for the BZX protocol. You can use the Fulcrum interface or you can use the Torque interface. The Fulcrum interface allows you to margin trade and lend. So if I go here to trade, you can see the assets that are eligible to trade. I can trade Ethereum on leverage. I can long it up to 5x and I can short it up to 5x. And here's the interest rate I would be paying. And here's the liquidation price. Currently they support 5 different assets: Ethereum, Wrapped Bitcoin, Link, ZRX, CanC. And for the time being, you can't leverage trade. That functionality is going to return with the next update coming in August, but you can lend your token. And given that we can't trade, obviously the rates are going to be next to nothing. But anyhow, here are the assets that you could lend for a potential yield on the platform. Once these protocols are battle tested, they're fully audited, and all the attack vectors are removed, I think people are going to become more comfortable lending their assets on platforms like this. If you look at centralized finance platforms like Celsius and BlockFi, a lot of the interest that they earn for their users is by lending to people that long and short crypto assets. And being the middleman, they take a piece of the cut. Here with DeFi, there is no middleman. So you'll be lending directly to people that are going to be leveraging your assets to trade, and consequently, you're going to get a respectable yield for that. And who knows, in the future, if the demand gets large enough, they might actually vote to give people a piece of the token for providing liquidity, similar to what Wi-Fi is doing now and what Comp did a month earlier. Here's Torque. This is where you can borrow assets. With this interface, you can access the feature of the protocol that allows you to take a fixed term loan for an indefinite period of time. This again is another service offered by centralized finance. For example, Nexo allows people to take out asset-backed loans. With many of these centralized finance platforms, you have to do a KYC, and depending on which jurisdiction you live in, you may not be able to access that service. For example, being here in California, I'm not able to take out a loan using Celsius Network's platform. Overall, I really like where they're headed with this. I think this is something that many other people, many other projects will probably try to emulate. But I think the potential is pretty large here. For one, unlike CeFi platforms, you don't have to share a fee with the middleman. You can lend your tokens out and you can keep a bigger piece of the cut for lending out your assets to traders. And on top of that, if you look at Celsius, if you look at Nexo, they're not really sharing their revenue with you. I mean, to a certain extent they are, because they are giving you money to generate using your assets. But here it's fully transparent. You know exactly what's going on. But to be honest with you, we can't verify that they're telling us the truth. Celsius claims that they're giving 80 to 90% of the money that they make, but there's no way for us to confirm this. At least here with these DeFi platforms, there's a certain level of transparency. We can sort of verify exactly how much yield that they're producing and how much they're sharing with their users. Also, unlike tokens of CeFi platforms like Nexo and Cell and BitTrue, there's actually more utility to the tokens. You actually feel like you own a piece of the protocol by owning the token. Despite the hacks, despite the exploits, I think this project has a lot of potential. Full disclosure, I have bought some BZRX tokens, and when they go live with this, I will be staking them using this interface. And if you guys wanted to watch my follow-up video where I actually stake my tokens, make sure you guys subscribe, click that notification bell. If you guys have any questions after watching this video, I encourage you guys to comment below. And if you guys enjoyed watching the video, make sure you guys give me a like. This is CryptoOneStop signing out. I'll talk to you folks next time. Bye.